Good morning all. Welcome to Public Administration Orientation for 2027 batch. So most of you will be from which batches? Last year OGP batches, few I think from even this year OGP batches also. Okay, fine. So I think you'll be having a fair idea, but what we'll do is we'll go from the scratch, means how to choose an optional, or even before that, let's say, what do you mean by how the exam, what do you call this, the mains marks are distributed. We'll start from basics, because I've heard sometimes what may happen, students may have a doubt that, okay, they know that we have to choose something called as an optional subject, but within mains or within optional subjects, how the questions will be distributed, some students, sometimes they have that kind of doubt also. That's why first we'll discuss broadly about that. Then we'll get to the details. Fine? Yeah, so obviously we'll be having an idea. So, but just to clarify once, the general studies will be for 1000 marks, correct? Obviously, how many papers you have? 4 GS papers you have. So each paper will be for 250 marks. So that you leave it, because that is not our concern. Means here we are not discussing more about that. We have to discuss more about which one? Optionals related. So that's why just briefing. Optional, obviously, you will be having it for how many? 500 marks, that is 250 into 2. Paper 1 you have 250 marks, paper 2 you have 250 marks. Fine. And then essay 250 marks. Totally mains marks 1750. You will be having an idea. Now, broadly, if you see, obviously, this is not like an exact percentage, but most of the times what will happen, obviously, students will put more effort on GS itself. It can be 70%, 80%, whatever. But yes, they will put more effort on GS itself for simple reason, because there are 4 papers and syllabus is very huge. Obviously, what will happen, one or other way, and of course, even in prelims also, you have to study that. More effort will keep going towards GS. We are not saying, what do you call this, it is not necessary. Of course, it is necessary. But obviously, if you look at the marks wise, what will happen, optional also will carry 500 marks. And obviously, if you have seen, so there are toppers, more or less, this time relatively they have given good scores also. So on an average, I'm telling, even if you complete the paper also, minimum 260 is guaranteed. 250 to 260 is minimum. Then obviously from 280 to 290, some people might score even 300 plus also. But that's not so easy. In the recent times, it's not so easy to score 300 plus. But yes, there are few toppers who score 300 plus also. So 250 to 260 is average. 280 to 290, obviously, that means it's a good score. Above 300, that means your paper went very, very well that time. So if you are able to score above 300 means automatically you have very high chance, provided of course, even in GS also at least you should get above average. So very high chances, obviously you'll get in top 100, top 200, very, very high chances. And so is it so easy? How many people score it? Of course, I'm again clarifying it. If you have continuously seen the mains marks of the people who have got into the list, getting about 300 plus in optionals is not so easy. So on an average, the optional scores is how much? 250, let's say 260 this time. 250 to 260 is average, or let's say 250 to 270, very easily. If you complete the paper, address the core demands and come back also, 250 to 270, you will get not only X or Y optional, any optional you can score. 280 to 90 is a little challenging. Now, sure, so things have to go. It's like, for example, if you have seen your GS scores in mains, essay will be what? Essay is a little tricky this time. GS1 also is a little tricky. I'm talking about GS2, GS4. GS3 again is a little tricky, because here and there they keep making kind of scale up, scale down everything. In GS2, GS4, on an average, if you complete the paper and come out, address the core demand of the questions also, with basic presentation, basic organization of answer, 100 to 110 is guaranteed. So I'm telling which one? GS2 and GS4. GS1 and GS3 are as of in the last 4 or 5 years relatively less, because average itself is somewhere in 80s, 85, 82, so 80 to 90 is the average. I'm telling GS1 and GS3. GS2 and GS4, 100 to 110 you can score. Sure. Then sir, what if I want to get very good score? That means plus 10 to plus 15. 120 plus means you have got very, very good score in GS2 and GS4. Sometimes GS4 they'll increase it to 130s, 140s also. Again, that's very, very rare, not so easy. 120 plus in any GS paper means you have scored very, very good. Same way in optional you have scored 280 plus, or let's say 285, 280s, 290s means you have got a very, very good score. Average is what? Like in GS 100 to 110. So optional average is what? 260s, 250s, 270s. 270s is relatively better. It's like you're scoring 110, 115 in GS. Sir, what about the public, any optional for that matter, they will give. Yes, we'll get to the details, we'll get to know gradually. Fine? And now, how is the exam pattern if in case you have heard about optionals one? At least you'll be having an idea. Have you gone through the process, previous year questions of optionals, any optional for that matter? If you have seen, obviously, how many questions will you have? Okay, so just that's the reason I'm just taking it so that you get an idea. See, 250 marks, right? So each question will be for 50 marks. Each question in the sense, overall 5 questions you have to attend. How will they distribute it? They'll divide, let's say paper 1, public administration, paper 1. What they have done is, let's say, just to clarify, you'll get to know syllabus at the end, we'll discuss it. In public administration, paper 1, there are 12 chapters. Fine, 12 chapters, paper 1. Within that, what they do, that is mostly which is about public administration theory. Within that, what they do, 6 chapters is section A. Within paper 1, section A. Another 6 chapters is what then? Section B. Then what do you mean by paper 1, when they give you paper 1 public administration chapter? In section 1, there will be 4 questions. A, B, C, D. In other words, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in section B, 5, 6, 7, 8. Getting an idea? So just to clarify, because it will be easy for you if I write it on board. So it will be like this. Paper 1. Fine? Divided. Within that you have section A and then section B. Got it? Then you will have question number 1. Within that you will be having 5 questions here. Assured. Each question is for 10 marks. That is question number 1. Then question number 2. A, B, C. Question number 3. A, B, C. Question number 4. A, B, C. Clear? Same thing you make it here. Question number 5. A, B, C, D, E. Each 10 mark. Question number 6. A, B, C. Question number 7. A, B, C. Question number 8. Another A, B, C. Fine? Now question number 1. Question number 5. Mandatory. Compulsory. You, even if you don't attend, that means you're losing the marks. You have to 100% attend question number 1, question number 2. Clear? Then in question number 2, even this is for totally 50 marks. That means normally what they do, they'll make it as 20, 20, 10. They can make it like that also. Or what they'll do, 20, 15, 15. Or 20, 20, 10. Normally, either one pattern they'll stick. They'll not make it as one as 20, 20, 10, then 20, 15, 15. Year by year that keeps changing. In the recent trends, they are making it as 20, 20, 10. But for a long time, it used to be 20, 15, 15. So there's no, that you can't decide it. But what is fixed per each question? 50 marks is fixed. Now question number 1, question number 5, mandatory. That means how many marks will you have to attend here? Total 250, right? Question number 1, 50, question number 5, 50 means how much? 100 marks is already done. Then what you have to do? Out of question number 2, 3, 4, minimum 1 you have to choose. Let's say for example, you thought question number 2 is easy for me. You attended question number 2. Fine. Then let's say, sir, for me question number 3 is also easy. You attend that also. Question number 4 is also easy for me. No, you can't attend. So that means what? Out of 2, 3, 4, minimum 1. Out of 5, 6, 7, 8, minimum again 1. So at least, let's say, sir, for me 7 is easy. Attend 7. So that means what? Question number 1, 5, 2, 3, and then 7. Assured. Or what you can do, I think you're getting the point right. Or you may tell, no sir, 3 and 4 is difficult for me. 7 and 8 is easy for me. Fair enough. So what is the point? That's why question number 1 and 5 are mandatory. Out of the remaining questions, in each section you have to answer 1. Each section means what? Section A, minimum 2, 3 and 4, you have to answer 1. 5, 6, 7, 8, minimum 1. Sir, then which should I answer? Another extra question. You answer either way, it's okay. But it should be 1 question in each section out of the optional questions. Choice questions, correct? Yeah, that is how it works. Then it's left to you. Sir, again, how will they distribute? I think you understood, same pattern. 20, 20, 10 or 20, 15, 15. So how will I choose? That's later, that we'll discuss. How to choose between that. Obviously, you should have a basic idea of all of them. Or at least you should have basic idea about 40 marks questions. That we'll discuss that later. That's not necessary. At least pattern you got an idea, right? Yeah. So now That's what they're telling. Answer 5 questions out of 8. Even paper 2 is the same pattern. Paper 2 also you have, in PubMed there are 14 chapters. So 7 questions in section A, 7 chapters section A, 7 chapters section B. Now whatever. So answer 5 questions out of 8. A and B, that is section A and B, 4 questions each. 1 and 5 are mandatory. Then part A, as I have told, A, B, C, D, 5 questions. Each question will be what? 10 marker, question number 1. Question number 5 again, 10 markers. Then A, B, I think you got the pattern. Out of this, you choose one. One here. Fifth question, you choose with either, whichever you want to. That's how it works. Then public administration, biggest advantage. Of course, there's so many aspects, but just to tell, first major advantage is what? Whatever you study in your paper 2 of public administration, I'll show the syllabus. More or less entire paper 2 of public administration, except few chapters, is your GS2 polity and governance. Your entire polity and governance, whatever you study in GS2, you just have to copy paste in your PubMed, or reverse way also. The only change to an extent is you should not write, when you write, let's say for example, when you write GS answers, you should not write the thinkers names. Like every option will have thinkers. We'll discuss what are those thinkers. Those thinkers names you should not mention. Rest all you can use the same thing. That's the biggest advantage. Normally what we do is while doing PubMed itself, I'll tell these chapters you need not even study in your polity and governance. Because anyhow polity will be done, governance especially, whatever. That is the biggest advantage. And of course to an extent, some part of your economy, disaster management also, though not detailedly, actually it works reverse way in economy and disaster management. Means what? Whatever you study in where? GS3, that is in your economy or disaster management, same things you can use in your PubMed. In GS2 polity and governance, you can use it either way also. There what you study you can put here, here what you study you can put there. GS3 economy and disaster management, what you study in GS, you can use that exact things in your PubMed also. Clear? And then obviously if you have gone through, I don't know, most of you might have still not gone through maybe you might have gone through syllabus on square. I think ethics classes are still not done, right? Once ethics classes are done, you will get an idea. In ethics, what they do again, first half, second half, 2 parts are there. Broadly, the first half of your ethics is which one? Theory part. You might have seen that role of family, society in inculcating values and ethics, difference between morals, ethics and so many other things, emotional intelligence, integrity, aptitude, so many things are there. Those are all first half, theory part. Second half of your ethics syllabus is largely the governance related part. Means they'll ask about RTI, Citizens Charter, public service delivery, like that so many things are there. Whistleblowers Protection Act, if you have seen all of them, more or less everything is here. That's what you have written. Second half of ethics, GS4, is more or less what you study in your public administration itself. That's it. This means overall the biggest advantage is what? There is lots of overlap with your GS syllabus. GS1 there is no touch. GS2, GS4 lots of advantage. GS3 to an extent, not to a large extent. Fine? Yeah, so should I consider this factor also? Yeah, to an extent it will have an impact, no doubt about it. Because what will happen, so your notes you don't have to duplicate again and again, the same things you can use. Answers also will, an additional point you will get. Of course, this is not the only factor on which you have to decide, no doubt, we are not saying that. But it will be an advantage. Every option will have, like for example, if you take sociology, advantage is what? Your society part of your GS1, social justice part of your GS2, to an extent maybe ethics, not to an extent, GS3 also not to an extent, but society and social justice will overlap. Same way, for example, let's say PSIR if you take, political science scholars will not, but same like how polity we study, even in political science also they study. International relations also will have an advantage in your GS2 international relations. So international relations will not have overlap. PSIR option will have an overlap. But for them, GS4 largely there is no overlap. But in PubMed, GS4 also overlap is there. Sociology, GS1 overlap. But PSIR and PubMed, GS1 there is no overlap. Anthropology, I think more or less there is no overlap. Maybe society part to an extent might be there. Kannada zero overlap. There is no overlap here because Kannada literature syllabus itself is different, right? It will not have any overlap. Or any other, let's say for example, if you take your science related, let's say mechanical engineering you took, medical you took, law you took, there is no overlap. Law may be to an extent GS2, GS4, not exactly, but it will help. But medicine, everything, there is no overlap. So that is not the only factor on which you have to decide. But that's a major factor, no doubt about it. Right? Yeah, of course, there are a few other points also. You get just with an open mind, listen to it. Then you go through it, and then you take a call. Any doubts, you can come back again. then obviously no doubt about it, because see, by definition, if you are writing civil services exam, means entire civil service is nothing but what? Whatever you do in civil service is nothing but public administration only. Public administration itself means, in simple common man terms, civil services. Bureaucracy is nothing but public administration only. So whatever you are going to do throughout your career, that's what we'll discuss. You'll get to know obviously what are the major challenges that you'll face, how to manage a team, what are the challenges in managing that, how especially in public administration, because private administration is a bit different. Means what? How do you manage things in corporate? Private sector is a bit different. But from how do you manage things in where? Government. Because in government you have to work under whom? Politicians, ministers, people's representatives, media scrutiny is very high, judiciary scrutiny is very high, and then you'll have so many CBI, CVCs, CAG, everything. So working in public administration is not 100%, but there is lots of difference from working in private sector to public administration. So though we will also study the scholars, based on private administration, public administration is a bit different. That's what is a major topic also we study. What is the difference between private administration and public administration? All those topics also we'll study, but that is the point. Interlinkages will be lot. Means it will help you in your deeper understanding of the issues. In other words, because you'll have better understanding of public administration, when you write your answer, let's say for example, when you write your case studies, obviously when they write case studies, major criticism, if you have heard that students, what they'll do in GS4 is which one? Case study you'll be doing, right? Half of your entire GS4 is case study, if in case you don't know in ethics. Second half of entire ethics, what they ask in paper I'm telling, is case studies only. Case study means what? As the word itself says, they'll give you a case. This is what has happened. What you have to do? You have to come up with solutions. Of course, they'll only give sometimes sub-questions. Sometimes they may not give, depends on the pattern, but you have to come up with solutions for it. Most of the, one of the biggest challenges students face is, they'll make it more theoretical. Theoretical means what? I'll follow Aristotle, I'll follow Plato, I'll follow so and so. It is not so easy, because not so easy in the sense evaluator will not be impressed. Because in GS4, if you have seen in the notification itself, they have told that we expect students to give what? To give practical real life solutions. Means you have to address it, you have to write it in such a way that what you have to do. That how will you address it on ground you have to tell. Not just linking it to some theory and saying, I will follow John Rawls' theory here, I will follow Aristotle's values here. You can add, we are not saying no, but practical solutions you have to give. For that, obviously, understanding of public administration will have an advantage. It will make you, or it will help you in giving better solutions while you write the answers. That is what we are trying to say. Clear? Just a second. Chat box on YouTube though? ಹೌದಾ ಅಲ್ಲ ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅವರು ನೋಡು ಓಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೈನ್ ಇನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೋ ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರೇನು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಬಟ್ ಅದರ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್ ಓಕೆ so that is one biggest advantage that you'll have. Then obviously, so examples, actually that's very good. Means what? Normally whatever examples we mention in your GS2, same example we use it where? In your GS4, GS4 also, even in, for example, remember I keep telling even in polity, that women's representation in Lok Sabha is how much? 14%. That same 14% fact, you can use it in PABAD also. Or criminalization of politics, you can use it there also. Or overall parliamentary effectiveness, Supreme Court related, judicial activism related, election commission related, whatever more or less, whatever you name entire polity, even fundamental rights related, so elections related in general, bodies related, or DPSP also sometimes president, governor related, federalism related. Remember the types of federalism: quasi-federalism, whoever polity is done, cooperative federalism, competitive federalism. Exactly same things they'll ask questions in your PABAD paper 2 also. So can I write the same answer? Yeah, more or less same answer you can write. Of course, as I keep telling, in PABAD, in any optional when you write, what you have to do? Some thinkers, a little theory you have to add. In GS when you write, you should not add thinkers. Or else, I mean, except thinkers, more or less same points you can use anywhere. Only point is what? Evaluators should get to know, that's it. Because normally what happens, obviously, when an optional paper is being evaluated, normally an optional faculty will only evaluate. Whoever public administration faculties from whatever universities they call, they'll only evaluate. GS answers, assumption is, we don't know. Assumption is, typical optional faculty guys will not do it. Whatever, someone else they'll call. That's why in optional, in GS, as far as possible, the suggestion is you should not bring too many thinkers from your optionals. Of course, in GS4 you can use Aristotle everything because they only have mentioned it in your syllabus itself. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the other optional thinkers. Like for example, in sociology they study someone called as M.N. Srinivas, Emily Durkheim, like that. So many people they study. Directly, whatever they have told, you should not use it in your GS. In PABAD, we study thinkers like if you have Woodrow Wilson, famously called as father of public administration. So Woodrow Wilson's idea, directly you need not mention it in your GS answers. That doesn't mean you should not only. Even if you do it, what you have to do? You should tell the evaluator what is this idea. In PABAD, you need not explain because obviously who is evaluating? Scholars only are evaluating. You just mention the keyword. We'll discuss Woodrow Wilson's famously there is a word called as politics administration dichotomy. Just mention it and keep going ahead. But in GS when you write, you should tell what is that. What do you mean by politics administration dichotomy? You should tell that because who knows, someone else might be evaluating, he may not be from PABAD background. How will he get to know what is dichotomy? So that is as simple as that. But whatever, that same facts, specific examples from here, GS, you use it in PABAD. From PABAD, you use it in GS also. Fine? And then, that's also correct. In a way, it will help you understand the government better. Yeah, it will help you in case studies, it will help you in personality test also. But this is not the major factor that it will help you in being a better officer than your fellow officers, might be. But that's not a factor. We have just given you a broader understanding. That does not, based on that, okay, fine, if I take public administration, I'll be better DC than others. That's why I'll take. Because first, what you have to think about? First, let me get in. Then better officer or not better officer is later. So that's why, not a directly what most important factor that you should take it into account. And maybe, just to understand, we have written. What you have to keep it in mind is, will it help it in my GS? Will it help it in my case studies? Will it help me in my personality test? That factor you consider. After getting into service, I will become better officer. Who cares? Who is there? We are not talking about that here. That who will take care? That Labasna will take care. That NPA will take care. That is not our concern. Our concern is what? How to get to Labasna. What will happen in Labasna is not our concern. Correct? So that's till there you think about it. Yeah, another one, because normally these are all general questions that students will have. Sir, I am from, let us say, okay, I'll just overall clarify. So let us say, for example, you are from BA background, you are from BCom background, you are from BBA background, MBA background. Normally the suggestion is, science-oriented optionals will not so easily suit for you. Overall, I'll give a bigger picture so that you'll get an idea. Means what? Sir, I've done BA, can I take anthropology? I am from BCom background, can I take anthropology? Normally not suggested. That doesn't mean you should not. UPSC is not prohibiting you. You can take it. But you will not have so easily, you will not have a hold. Sir, why is it like that? Because obviously you're from which background? You're from non-science background. Maybe in your PU you might have studied science. Maybe that might, we can't decide based on that. In graduation, if you are from non-science background, science optionals like anthropology will not suit. Is that clear? So then, let's say, sir, I am from science background. I have done BSc, let's say I have done MSc, or let's say I've done engineering, I've done medical science. Medical science means normally I will only directly tell, you either choose medicine or what you choose? You choose anthropology because more or less the same, human related only you will study, that's best for them. Sir, I am from law background, LLB, something like that. Obviously, sir, I am from law background, I'll take anthropology. Is there any link? There's no link here. Your mind itself will not work. There's no orientation. So for them, what is it? Either you take law, if you're very good in your law, or else, what is the only option? PSIR, PABAD, sociology. Not even sociology, PSIR, PABAD. Because orientation itself is like that. from law students. Let's say other than that, BSc, MSc, BBM, MBA, BCom, MCom, or let's say engineering, anything, either of this will work. Engineers, anywhere you can go. Engineers can go anywhere, they can take medicine also. In other words, just to tell, engineers can take any subject, it's open for them. Because mind itself is more relatively broader. Doctor's mind is already narrow. Lawyer's mind is already narrow. They have to choose respective only. Engineer's mind is relatively broad. They can choose any optional. Sir, I'm from engineering background, but I have lots of interest in literature. Maybe because in your family, your father used to study, your mother used to study, that has an impact on you, or you have an interest in novels, reading, something like that. And obviously reading it, writing it, expressing in Kannada, that writing skill also you have. Even if you are from engineering background also, obviously you can take, no doubt about it. Those who teach Kannada of literature in insides are also engineers only. So engineers can take anything, no doubt about it. Other than that, obviously what happens, normally 3 options are suggested, either PubAd or PSIR or Sociology. Yes, that is also openly only I'll tell. As of now, in the last 3-4 years, PSIR and Sociology are relatively performing well. Means what? Number of students taking it is more. That doesn't mean what students taking that will automatically score 300 plus, not that. Number of students taking is more. So why? Because most of the students appear obviously from where? North and Central Indian states. There most of them are from BA background. Or most of them are from BA background only. BA honors, something like that if I have heard. That's why normally what they do, they study political science in their BA also, same thing they'll take. Or they'll take Sociology there, same thing they'll take. Because in and around Delhi, a lot of people prefer that. Assured. That doesn't mean PSIR or Sociology is directly giving you 300 plus. It only means number of students taking it is more, because in and around Delhi, Central India, North India, people from BA backgrounds are more. Assured. That is the reason, relatively, if you have any heard in the market, normally they keep telling PSIR, PSIR, Sociology. Anthropology was in a golden era from 2016 to 2020. A lot of students used to take, especially South India, largely anthropology itself was optional, because in South India, most of them are from what? Engineering background or medical background. For both of them, which will suit? Anthropology will suit. North India, Central India, BA backgrounds are more. PSIR, Sociology, PubAd will suit. That's how it works. So now in the last 4-5 years, anthropology is not in such a huge golden wave. It has become common, more or less like every other optionals. It depends. Let's say, for example, by the time you write mains, maybe assuming you guys are preparing obviously for 2027, by the time you write mains, so Sociology, PSIR may come down. PubAd may go a little up, or it might stay the same, or everybody can come to the same level. Anything can happen. So here and there, changes will keep happening. What you have to consider is, that's what we'll keep discussing, what is your background? So then, do I have at least a basic interest in this subject? Or do I have aptitude? As I told, aptitude means understood, right? Let's say you are from BCom background, taking anthropology. There is no aptitude for you towards that, not so easy. Maybe 1 out of 100 people can handle it better also, I'm not denying it. Someone from BCom background might have cleared with anthropology optional also. There might be example, but that's the exception, you should not take it as a rule. Someone from BA background might have cleared with anthropology optional. The exception is not a rule. And so orientation also matters a lot. And so all that, keep it in mind. We'll discuss all of them, that's what is the point. So your background will not matter much for PubAd. And so obviously most of the people would have cleared from either engineering or medicine, or normally now obviously from BA backgrounds, BCom backgrounds, BSc backgrounds. So obviously they will only take. Fine, very few people have, because graduation in public administration, there's no graduation directly in, they have BA in public administration, everything, but very few people will take it. Maybe in North India they might, but in generally very few people. So background will not have lots of impact. Then, sir, what are the major challenges? You might have heard, one of the major challenges, not only in PubAd, any humanities, 3 humanities especially, what you take, which one? PSIR, PubAd, Sociology. Common challenge of all of them is what? Subject is more dynamic. Sir, what do you mean by dynamic first of all? Dynamic means what? This is the question, this is the answer. You will not have it like that. Even if you compare, let's say you might have done at least few GS subjects, you compare if geography is done, or if science and tech is done, to an extent if environment is done also. If you have seen, what is the advantage there? Let's say if geography or science and tech is done, let's say the question is on what is earthquakes, the question is on, let's say, monsoon, the question is on maybe types of climate or anything. Now what is the answer? Answer is same. I write, you write, anybody writes, same diagram, same answer. By heart it, or understand it, whatever it is, exactly write the same thing. Because what, by definition, what is that? It's a science subject. By definition, when you say science, what does that mean? There is no scope for opinions here. What is it only? Objective in nature. Objective means what, obviously? Objective means exactly the same answer. Gravitational law of force means, what is the answer for it? For me, is it different? For you, is it different? It's the same for everyone. Let's say, for example, you look at your polity. For example, if the question is on whatever some bill or anything they ask, of course, even there, now a lot of less, everybody writes the same points, but there is scope for your opinion. For example, if the question is on unemployment, question is on poverty, I might write few other factors, you might write few other factors. If the question is on decline in parliamentary effectiveness in the recent years, I might write few other factors, you might write few other factors. More or less, because content more or less will come up to the same, but still dynamic means there is no fixed answer. For this question, this is the answer, it's not always fixed. Automatically what will happen, someone might bring some other thinker. I might bring some other thinker, I might link something to paper to some other chapter, you might link it to some other chapter. So obviously what will happen to answer? Core part will remain same, 50% might remain same, another 50% depending on your ability, there you can keep on linking here and there. But in geography, there is no link. Geography optional, there might be link, that's a different issue. But science optionals, one of the biggest advantages of science optionals is which one? Objectiveness. There is no scope for creativity. There is no scope for interpretation and analysis. But what is the biggest challenge in science optionals? Even for that matter, geography or physics or math or agriculture optional or medicine optional, biggest advantage is what? Syllabus will be very, very huge. You have to write lots of notes. Revising them is very, very difficult. On an average, let's say for example, if you have the note, sir, I am from mechanical engineering, civil engineering, so I want to take that optional, but why nobody is encouraging it? Simple reason is what? Where have you done your engineering? That's the first question mark. If you are not done from NITs and IITs, any other engineering colleges, I know you know how you have done your engineering. So hence, it's not so easy to take the same optional in your here, because what you will not have? Technical hold will not be so strong. Normally, you might have cleared it, agreed, you might have got what is 70%, 60%, what they call as the FCD, whatever, I don't know if they might have changed it also. You might have got it, I'm not saying no. But you ask yourself to what extent you put the serious effort. Throughout the year, you would never have studied. Maximum 1 day, 1 week max. Obviously, how will you get a very serious hold? Syllabus, so then what will be the syllabus? Whatever 4 years you study in mechanical or in civil, entire 4 years you have to study in 4 to 5 months here. Obviously, notes will be huge. That entire notes you have to revise it. For example, in optionals, what will in exam, what will happen in mains? After, let's say, today your GS4 is done. Normally, what will happen? You will have 4 to 5 days gap for your optional revision. In that 4 to 5 days gap, you should be able to revise your optionals at least 3 to 4 times. So that what happens? You have to shift from your GS mode and get into optional mode. Now, simple logic you apply. How can you revise an optional, both paper 1 and paper 2, that is 500 marks, in a span of 4 days for 4 to 5 times, or let's say at least 3 to 4 times? Simple common sense you apply. If you want to revise it 3 to 4 times in 3 to 4 days, that means your notes should be what then? Less or very huge, bulky? It has to be very less. If it has to be very less means, that means syllabus has to be then as compressed, as concise as possible. That means you have an advantage, you can make short notes. It's an advantage, you can revise it quickly. Science optionals, that's the biggest challenge. It's okay. Science optionals, that's the biggest thing. So science optional, that's the biggest challenge. It's not so easy to make short notes. Yes, they make so many formulas, everything, but always it's a challenge. That's why we have seen, normally even IIT background people also, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, they don't take. Or BSc, whatever, MSc, they have done physics, chemistry, why don't they take? Same reason. And so even medicine, a lot of people now they have a fear to take medicine optional also. Again, same reason. What is the reason? Syllabus, whatever they study for 5.5 years, everything. Agriculture also, a lot of students fear actually. Normally, I tell people from BSc, AG, MSc, AG background that please take it. Because what is the advantage there? You would have studied the same thing. Same thing you have to do it here also. But same reason. Reason is what? Sir, there I did not study with that level of seriousness. Now all of a sudden everything I have to do, make notes, always a challenge. And classes will not be available. Obviously, why will they? Have you seen anybody teaching medicine optional? Very rare. Medicine test series they may do. Medicine optional, law optional only very rarely they teach. Because again, assumption is what? Law optional who will take? Obviously, who will take law optional if any chance is there? Law graduates only will take. Obviously, which law graduates will take? Mostly people from very good law professors only will take. Obviously, assumption is what? You have already studied seriously. I don't have to teach the optional again for you. Maximum what I will do? I'll do test series. You take test series with me. I'll do some value addition classes. Only that. That big picture you should have, so that you can take your decision on evidence-based decision making can be done to choose the optional. Fine? Yeah. So that is dynamic is one in a challenge. Not only PubEd, PSIR, PubEd sociology. Any humanities, dynamicity is given. It's 100% there. Expectation is high because syllabus is little concise. Yeah, means obviously, but because syllabus is less, it's an advantage. Expectation obviously means what? How you interlink, because normally we keep telling as a statement itself in PubEd, that in PubEd any question is, let's say they have asked question number 2 in your paper 1, section 1, but any answer in PubEd is not a chapter wise answer, not a topic wise answer. What is it? It's a public administration answer. What does it mean? Even if the question is asked in paper 1, section A, you should link it to paper 1, section B also, paper 2, section A also, paper 2, section B also. Not like everything you have to link. Wherever possible, that interlinkages is mandatory. So in other words, what you should have then? 360-degree view of the topic, of the subject. Only, let's say if there is a famous thinker, if you have heard, Woodrow Wilson, as I told, Max Weber, like that. If the question is on Max Weber, you cannot write only about Max Weber. You have to link it to other thinkers also. You have to link it to paper 2 also. Again, same thing, not only in PubEd, PSIR, sociology also. All these three humanities which are relatively famous optionals, all three humanities, same challenge, same advantage. Everything. Assured. So you can't help in that. Within that, if you are choosing humanities, means all of those three, exactly same advantage, exactly same challenge. Some overlap will also be there, like as I told in syllabus wise. Some advantage is also there, syllabus is concise, anybody can take it, that's also an advantage. Easily short notes you can make, easily you can revise. Lot of things it will help it in your GS, same examples you can use, but challenge is what? Challenge is dynamic. Challenge is current affairs also you have to link. Challenge is interlinkages, 360-degree of the subject. Kannada, what is advantage? Kannada advantage is, there's literally, there are, if people tell interpretation is there, relatively less scope for interpretation. It's more or less like whatever is there, you have to write. The current affairs, where is current affairs in Kannada literature? Current affairs is not there. Maybe here and there, maybe somewhere you can link, but there's no need to read there. But what is the challenge in Kannada literature? Scores in any literature optionals is normally less. If you've seen, very, very less scores will be in literature optionals, normally. Of course, everybody will keep telling, but in general, if you have seen Kannada toppers everything, Nandini era, if you have seen 2016, that was the last time Kannada optionals scored very, very well. In the last 10 years, very, very relatively less scores. Again, another biggest challenge in Kannada is what? Syllabus is relatively huge compared to PubEd. Another bigger challenge is what? Uttakshara, Dirga. When did you write Kannada? That's a challenge. Yes, that doesn't mean, sir, does it mean that, if I write it for 6 months, 1 year, I'll get an advantage? Yes. Yes, you can. I'm not denying that, because you should not be one bias towards one optional and not like that. I'm just giving you bigger picture. Yes, you can get a hold. If you keep on writing, you can. But it depends on to what extent you have a hold. Assured. If you don't even have a hold on writing, so developing the writing skill and then getting a hold, it's not so easy. You should have an orientation first. Orientation means understood, right? You're from Kannada background, Kannada medium student till 10th. By the moment you come to me, and I'll only tell openly, if you have asked me in OGP class also, sir, I'm from Kannada background till 10th. Don't even think. First go sit in Kannada literature. Then think about others. Don't even come to other optionals first. Kannada is your Kannada the Kanda. You should go there. So that is your first choice. If in case you don't like there, for whatsoever reason, then you think about others. Directly don't come to other optionals. Because that is what is your mind oriented towards. Better you go for Kannada first. Or else in general other things, then you come here. Because remember, relatively good hold you should have on English if you want to take PSIR or PubEd or sociology. Because obviously you have to write answers in pure English. Not like Shashi Tharoor English, that's not allowed. Again, I've told multiple times in OGP class also. Never ever assume that I should write very theoretically like what they speak in, BBC news channels. Should I talk like that? Should I write like that? Not like that. But basic hold on English you should have. If you don't have hold on English, PubAd or Sociology or PSIR, honestly, is a little difficult. No doubt about it. That's why if you're a Kannada medium student, I'm openly telling Kannada literature is your first choice. Then you think about others. Don't think about others and then keep Kannada as an optional. No, Kannada is your first choice. Sir, but what about scores in Kannada? Relatively less. But any other optional also, more or less, you will come back to the same range, 260s, 270s only. So it's better you take that as the first choice. Is it clear? Medicine. First think about medicine or else anthro. Don't come to, sir, I am from doctor MBBS background, I'll come to PSIR, PubAd, not suggested. Exception I am not talking, you're getting the point right, I am talking about first choices. You go to anthropology, or else you choose medicine. No sir, I am not interested in both. Then you think about humanities. Or Kannada also, maybe some doctors say Kannada also, but not now, because those are all, as I told, 2016, 15, that when Nandini scored rank 1 in Kannada literature, that 2-3 years, that huge wave was there. Otherwise, it's not so easy. You're from engineering background, interested in Kannada literature, you can please take. Getting clear? Law background, law is your first choice. If you have got technical hold, technical means understand, right? Very good hold on the subject. Else, PSIR, PubAd. Sociology, not suggested. PubAd, PSIR is your optional. Engineers, open for all. Anywhere you go. Engineers are the, what do you call this, major. So anywhere, any option you can take. Clear? Yeah, fine. Next, sir, what about scores? Is it scoring well? Obviously, every year, right from 2013, obviously you'll be knowing, right, 2013 is done. New syllabus era. From then on, obviously, you keep saying, because at that time, what is to happen, if in case, just to understand, at that time, 2013 to almost 14, 15, highest scores in optional itself was 240s, 250s. Highest itself was 250s. Then they gradually increased it to 280s, 300s. That's why if you keep saying, scores keep increasing. Look at it, 2013, 14, 230s, 260s. Look at 2016. That was like when Nandini got, if you have heard her name, Nandini got rank 1 from Karnataka. That year, more or less every optional used to be high. PubAd, they got someone, Abhilash Mishra had got 334 marks, rank 5. So that is your rank 1s. So it keeps changing. Assured. Recently, if you have seen, just to understand, recently, obviously, rank 11, Yashasvi, he has got 291 marks. So another Ansari, I think his rank is 500 or something, or maybe 600. So he has got 290, let's say 289. And I think last week, if you have seen, sir, we had called Aryan Kumar Singh. So he had come. So his relatively PubAd score was less, but actually, I mean, he's from Insights only. I think you might have seen. I don't know if you attended or not. He's from Insights, not here. He's our Delhi Insights OGP student. So he had done it completely online, but he's Delhi OGP Insights student. So he has got rank 104 this time. So we were expecting that actually he'll be in top 50. I mean, top 50 in the sense that easily I was telling him even in last year, this is second mains, even when he wrote his first mains also I used to tell him that he can easily score 270 to 280. So PubAd paper 1, he has found it, means he had not handled it relatively well, or else if he had scored 270s, means 20 marks extra, he would have been in top 50. So it works like that. So he has got very good score in paper 2. He has got 140s, 144, 145, something like that. Paper 1, he got little less. There was another student here only, she had done it here. So he went to interview, she did not get into the final list. She got 130s in paper 1, 140s in paper 2. But she did not get into the final list. So now you can't write about her because obviously she is not in the list. You can't just mention it just like that. So it depends. Sometimes optional goes well. Her essay score was relatively less. So pulled out. Interview was also average or less than average. It's 160s. Can't help. So she did not get into the list. But she had scored somewhere in 270s. Her score. She is like you only, inside OGP student only. Not a test series student, here only. Because normally I don't, every year I don't conduct test series. But whatever here, whoever writes, obviously whoever inside students are there, I keep correcting their answers. Wherever they write test series also. But yeah, I'm thinking about conducting test series this time. But whatever. So this time, so Yashasvi has got 291, Ansari has got around 290 itself. Last year, Pragya had got 284, Anushka Jain had got 282. So more or less you can see every year. This is in the last 4 or 5 years, this is how it was. In actually 2022, so I forgot her name, this should have mentioned, 294 highest, 292 another year. 2019. So rank 11, Nupur had got 302. It was that year apparent highest in any optional. All the optionals you take, It was the highest in any optional, 2019, Nupur Goel. So 2019, if you recall, okay, you might not be knowing, rank 1 was also Pradeep Singh, he was also from PABAD optional. So look at 2018, so a girl had got 333, 2017 someone had got 320, so Abhilash Mishra had got 324, again sometimes 280s, sometimes 290s, it keeps varying. 300 plus now in the last 3-4 years is very less. In other words, just to clarify, remember, any optional you take now, literally anything, 250s to 300s, 290s is the range. And so just because you take X optional or Y optional, automatically you will not score 300 plus. That's a myth. And so that's why orientation towards optional, yes, obviously, is the classes available? What is my background? Do I have a little hold on the subject? Do I have writing skill? As I told, Kannada medium, English medium. These factors you take into account and then decide. Sure. And then, just to get an idea, obviously, I've already told you now. So if you want to choose any optional for that matter, first thing is what? At least some basic interest you should have. Means, as I told, you're from BA background, sir, but a lot of people are telling anthro is working well, I'll take anthro. Will not work. Because what you should also have? Some orientation interest is very important. Then trend, as I told, relatively how the scores are going on. Then syllabus. Then to what extent it will help me in my GS. Then of course, do you have classes? Do you have what you call this materials? Means reference books, everything. Those are all other factors. But broadly, I've already given you an idea. Then, yeah. So why interest in subject matters? I've already understood. I've explained it. Just to go through it. See, biggest challenge that what you have to understand is which one. Let's say, for example, you choose an optional. See, even if you give it in your first mains also, first attempt, first mains also if you give, minimum how many years you should have studied? At least 1.5 to 2 years you would have been in the process. So obviously, what is the biggest challenge then? If you choose anything, GS you don't have a choice, you leave it because it's mandatory for all. In optional, what is the biggest point? The moment you choose an optional, it's not just for 3-4 months. Minimum how many years you have to study? 1.5 to 2 years minimum you have to study. That means minimum 1.5 years, 2 years if you have to study. At least obviously what you should have? Basic interest you should have in the subject. Yes, sometimes what may happen? After you take, you may get an interest. Sometimes you may have an interest and then you may lose interest. Sometimes you may have an interest and then you can retain that interest also. But interest is at least basic interest you should have. Assured. Sir, interest doesn't matter. For me, only score will matter. Correct, no doubt about it. But some or other time, because you are studying it for 1.5 to 2 years, basic orientation is necessary. Or else that's why if you see, after taking an optional for 1 or 2 months itself, even sometimes what students will tell, sir, I'm not getting any interest, I'm not even understanding this. That means you don't have orientation. Then it's better you change it also sometimes. So any optional, a lot of people change it from sociology, PSR, they'll come to PABAD. From PABAD, they may go to PSR. From PABAD, they may go to Kannada. From Kannada, they have come to PABAD. It keeps happening here and there. Because orientation will not be there, but they'll just choose an optional because friends chose. So my PG mate chose, my library mate chose, that's why I will also choose. It happens in the initial stages, students think like that. That's why orientation will matter a lot. Orientation means interest in the subject, aptitude with respect to subject. That's why they're telling that it will help you to work in, means work in the sense study in difficult times. It will help you to little curiosity, understand, explore. And you will not find it very, very difficult when you put the effort. That's why should you have interest in the subject? Then of course, guidance, which is very, very important. So syllabus, go through it. PVQs, you go through it. Obviously, I think you will be having an idea. Okay, forget about that. Okay, that is overall aspects. Now, I'll give a overall view and then we'll get to the details. I've already explained it. Paper 1 has how many chapters? 12 chapters. Paper 2 has 14 chapters. And keep it in mind, normally this is again in your PSR sociology also. Paper 1 is normally theory. Paper 2 is normally Indian administration. Look at paper 1. First itself is what? Administrative theory. We'll come back. Look at paper 2. Indian administration. So this paper 2 is your polity, governance, GS2. Paper 1 also help you in GS4. It will not help so much in GS2. Okay, fine, whatever. So just to understand, what is this administrative theory? Largely what they talk about is various theories which will help you in better administration. Sir, what do you mean by better administration? Just practically imagine, if you become DC, literally, obviously because mostly the focus is on DC, I'm talking about DC, SP also you can take. Imagine how many people will be working under you. Literally, you are the coordinator. You are not head of all the departments, but you are the coordinator in the because you are the head of the district administration. Imagine any department, any person obviously is answerable to you. That means you should have very good coordination skill. Coordination means what? You should have the ability to take all the departments together towards one goal. I'm sure education department may have different challenge, health department may have different challenge, law and order department may have different challenge, maybe social welfare will have different challenge, disaster management itself is different challenge, but you have to handle all of them together. Coordination is a huge skill. That coordination itself is one of the theory, how to coordinate. And so largely we have thinkers like classical thinkers. Woodrow Wilson is the father of public administration. Then you have classical thinkers. Then you have, if you have heard a person called as Max Weber, he's called as father of bureaucracy theory itself, he is the father. Remember, we keep using a word called as bureaucracy. He has given the detailed theories about it. All that is your paper one. Largely, how to manage a team, what are the challenges in a team. For example, there will be so many differences in a team. How do you resolve differences? There's a very famous thinker, if you have Mary Parker Foley. So she talks about how to resolve conflicts in a team. Because obviously when you have a team, obviously what you'll always have? You'll always have differences of opinions. I may think some way, you may think some way. You think I am not right, I'll think you are not right. How will you solve your differences? Or how will you solve the ego clashes? All those are technically called as conflict resolution theories. So like that, there is another one. What is the difference between private, look at it, private administration and public administration? Okay, constant, okay, they have not mentioned it openly. Public choice challenges, okay, fine. So they have not mentioned that. What is private administration, public administration difference? Woodrow Wilson's view of public administration. There's a concept called, if you have heard, NPA, new public administration, new public management. What are the differences? How it has evolved over a period of time. This first two, you can say maybe three. Motivation, have you heard the very famous thinker called as Abraham Maslow? Abraham Maslow is a very famous thinker. Just to explain it briefly, if in case you have not, because sometimes they may study it in theories also. I mean, in your graduation itself. So Abraham Maslow is a very famous motivation thinker. So he has mentioned various levels of motivation. For example, he says, at the initial level, people will be motivated by physiological needs. Physiological means what? Physiological means body related, means basic, food, clothing and shelter. Means initial stage, what people want? I want a job. Because I want to make what? I want to make my basic livelihood. I want to have basic, 3 meals a day. Basic food, basic clothing, bathing shelter. I need those basic things first. What Maslow says, once those needs are met, technically we call it need hierarchy. Let's forget about the technical things, we'll discuss it. Abraham Maslow says, if in case you have not heard the name, his name is Abraham Maslow. In a way, famously called as father of motivational thinkers. So what he says, once that need is met, means what? Once you get a job, or once your basic needs are met, then what do you think? I need my security needs, means what? My job has to be permanent. My job has to be secure, assured. Or my property is there, I have a house, I have a land, I have agricultural land. Obviously what you will expect? My property should be secure. My home should be secure. You will think about security needs. Now logically you only think, see, one of your major need, why are you getting into, why do you want to get into civil service is what? First thing what a lot of people tell is what? Job security, sir. Because once you get in, obviously government job biggest advantage is what? 30-35 years, job at least is secure. Sir, artificial intelligence, technology change, my friend in IT is getting worried. You don't have to get worried because your job is fixed. Because that is the biggest advantage. So obviously that is one of the needs, social need. Then let's say for example, you have job, you have secure job, means you get into civil service also. Then what do you think? Sir, I have a government job, but I am SDA, I am FDA. You have a job only, right? You also have government job. Means what is your job? 30-35 years, what is it? Fixed. But what you will lack, if you are only SDA, what do you lack here in service? Let's say you are constable, whatever, person X is constable. He also has government job. But what he lacks here? He lacks social recognition. Let's say for example, constable comes there, SP comes there. Simple common sense you apply, how will the people treat in a function or how will the people treat in anywhere for that matter, you tell an IPS officer comes and a constable comes. How will people treat? Should I explain that also? I think you know that. Let's say an IAS officer comes and a normal FDA comes, SDA comes, constable comes, even assistant engineer comes also. Imagine how the people will treat you. So why should I be worried about it? That's secondary. That's what he says, social need. Social need means what? Social, what is he saying? Means what matters? How is the society treating you? your position in society, your status in society, your recognition in society, people then will talk about it. Means once your food, basic clothing, everything is met, you'll think about which one then? Job security, property security. Once that is then what you will think about? Social recognition, social status and prestige. Sometimes what will happen after that is, and let's say I've got into IAS also, then what do you think about? You have job security, you have social status, but you are in art and culture department. What will you do? Nothing to do there. Then what do you think? Sir, I should be in finance department. I should be in Prime Minister's office. I should be in Cabinet Secretariat. I should work in Niti Aayog. Obviously, you will think like that. That is how it works. That means what you need then? You need recognition for your work. Means you don't want people to recognize only that you are IAS. What you want to recognize, to be recognized for? That I am the layer. Remember, they keep telling that so-and-so person, because of her efforts, obviously Naxalism was tackled. If an IPS officer, because of his efforts, Naxalism was tackled. Because of his efforts, drug problem in Punjab was tackled. Because of so-and-so IAS officer, obviously water conservation improved in Bangalore. This lake was revived. That means what do you want here? Obviously, what do you want there? You want recognition for your work. That means you want better position. You want to work in PMO. You want to work in Cabinet Secretariat. You want to work in, sir, I am the so-and-so IAS officer, is RBI governor. So-and-so IAS officer is finance secretary. He is involved in preparing this year's budget. That means imagine you are in charge of preparing budget as being finance secretary of India. The budget means it is affecting how many people? 145 crore people's lives are affected and you are involved in it. That means what? Look at your effort, look at your recognition. There are so many IAS officers also, but others are not even involved. You are doing that work. That means imagine, and Prime Minister believes in you. Let's say for example, PMO, Principal Secretary PMO. So PK Mishra now. So Pradeep Kumar Mishra, let's say PM is believing in you. That means when he wants to take important decision, he is consulting whom? He is consulting you. That means imagine your position and someone else, so many others are also there. But imagine they are also IAS. You are also IAS. But you are Principal Secretary PMO. You are Cabinet Secretary of India. That means imagine the status then. That is what is simple for you to understand. I am telling. That's what they call as what. Then here, what do you expect then? What do you expect? Recognition, not for your position. You want recognition for your work. That I should be in charge of implementing GST. I should be in charge of handling, let's say, whatever prime ministers. Or I should be in charge of handling metro construction. Imagine entire metro project will be under your control. Imagine your position then. Now that is, you will expect it at this level. Then what he says, people sometimes will reach such a state that what they'll start thinking about means you will reach the kind of what you call as in, if you apply spiritual angle, once you, sometimes people will reach a stage where they start thinking about, I don't want anything. I am not expecting anything from people. I just want to enjoy my life. I just want to enjoy my work. I am doing this work because what? Not because people will appreciate me. Not because I will get a good status. Not because it will give me good money. I am doing it because what? I love doing this. I just love doing this. Means I get pleasure doing this. I get happiness doing it. That's why I am doing it. Now that is what? That is what he calls it as what metaphysical need. Or in other words, what he calls this metaphysical means beyond all these kind of social needs you might go. But Maslow himself says that very few people will reach this state because it's not so easy. A lot of people will be in these 4 levels. Which level? That depends. You might be in level 1, level 2, level 3 or level 4. Level 5, very, very few people will reach. Self-actualization uses the word metaphysical need. This is Maslow. Even this you will study, look at the word here. In motivational thinkers, you will study about him. Same way there are theories of leadership if you have heard. There are so many theories of leadership that I will not make it technical. Let's get a broader orientation. Have you seen? Largely they keep telling there are 2 types of leaders called as transactional leaders, transformational leaders. Transactional leaders means what? Look at the word transactional. What does it mean? Means he is your boss, like this, he is your boss only, but he is looking at you as what? You do your work, I'll pay you. I'm boss of your company. You do your work, monthly salary, I'll give it to you. You did not work, what I'll do? I'll remove you. Hire and fire, technically what they call it. Hire and fire means what? I have hired you, I don't like your work, what I'll do? Fire, I'll remove you. That is transactional leadership. So a lot of thinkers tell transactional leaders will not become good leaders. Because they are looking at their employees as what? They are looking at their employees as literally a kind of a commodity. You perform well, I'll encourage you. I'll pay you, not even encourage. You don't perform well, I'll remove you. Obviously, how will a team work like that? Then what do you mean by the other one opposite? Transformational. Look at the word transformational. What does that mean? It means that I have to encourage you. Means leader is someone who will make you realize your potential. One who will make you, what do you call this? Exceed your potential sometimes. Make you believe in you itself first of all. And just because you did not perform well in one, like I remember in cricket what they keep telling. Now it's a different one. If you have seen, remember earlier, famous, word with respect to Dhoni was what? Same person you put in some other team, he'll be normal average player. You put him under Dhoni, automatically what he'll do? Automatically he'll become highest wicket taker, highest run getter. How did he become just like that? That's what they call as transformational leadership. Means what? He'll make you feel confident. He'll tell you that don't worry. This match, if you don't perform, it's fine. You'll still get chance next time. If you tell him that if you don't perform this time, you're out tomorrow, obviously what are you under? You're under pressure. How will you perform? Normally under pressure, it's not so easy. Virat Kohli kind of people can perform, that's a different. We are not talking about exceptions. Normally you should give people a security, a sense that don't worry about your future. Your future is secure in our company. I believe in your potential. I believe that you're honest and you'll put your 100% effort. Just go perform well. So automatically, normally what will happen, and so many times what will happen, psychological problems will be there. Means, let's say, just to give as an analogy, a lot of people will come to Indian cricket team, but they might not work, they might not perform well, because they may have self-doubt that what, am I really at this level or not? Can I really perform at this level? They may have a self-doubt. Like how sometimes even in the initial stages, what you may also feel, okay, am I really up to the level of UPSC? Can I really come in top 50 or top 100? Is it possible for me? Can I become a... Obviously, you'll have an aspiration also. But what you'll also have? You'll also have a self-doubt. No doubt about it. Everybody will have. If in case you don't clear prelims once or twice, it will become more serious. Obviously, during that time, what you need? You need a kind of a mentor. That mentor should act as what? Your transformational leader. Means what the mentor should tell. Obviously, what do you expect from any mentor to tell? It's fine. Don't worry. There are some mistakes. Let's recognize those mistakes first. You still have the potential. Don't even think about that. Let's understand where are things going wrong. Let's try to address it first. Don't try to compare with others. If you keep on comparing with others, normally what will happen? You are only putting yourself under pressure. All these are what you call as transformational leadership. That's a lot of, in real life also we keep mentioning it. That you have to talk. Transactional leadership, transformational leadership. This is more technical, that's why I'm not talking about it. Largely take it as classical thinkers, humanistic thinkers, behavioral thinkers, participative management thinkers. Details, we'll discuss it later, don't worry about it. Clear? Then systems theory, like the theories are there. Again, now let's not worry about it, we'll discuss it later, because theories, if I may try to talk about theories, it will become a little difficult. This one, exact chapter, copy paste in your governance, paper 2, GS2. Means you might have heard, remember, look at it. Right to Information, RTI Act, Social Audit, Civil Society, NGOs, Citizens Charter, Accountability, Pressure Groups, where is the word? They have used a word called interest groups. All these are automatically, that one chapter is your entire governance in your paper 2, GS paper 2. So what you study there you don't even have to study. 25 marks automatically taken. Because that is what you will study in your governance. Civil society, the interest pressure groups, NGOs, self-help groups, media, social audit, RTI, citizen charter, civil services, anyhow will study exactly your entire governance, 25 marks, 2 questions normally, normally one 10 marker and 15 marker, your one chapter, accountability and control chapter in PubAd. Right? Then administrative law. Again, even this also will help in PubAd if you have seen which one. In GS2 also, if you have heard, remember in polity also I keep telling, there is a word called as delegated legislation if you have heard. What do you mean by delegated legislation? Legislature will make an act. Who will make the rules and everything? Bureaucracy will make rules and everything. That is delegated legislation. Look at the words. That in detail we will study here. If for my fundamental rights chapter is done, I'll keep telling there one statement there. Article 13 mentions a word called as law. Definition of law under Article 13 includes delegated legislation, which is also called as subordinate legislation, executive legislation. If you recall that statement, remember, legislature makes the skeleton, bureaucracy adds blood and flesh to it. That's your delegated legislation. That's a statement from PubEd, which I normally use it in GS2 also, fundamental rights also. Same with tribunals. If you have heard tribunals, what does that mean? If judiciary topic is done, you will have an idea, quasi-judicial bodies. If judiciary is still not done in detail, you may not have an idea, but you might have heard things like Central Administrative Tribunal, State Administrative Tribunal, National Green Tribunal. About them is your administrative tribunals topic. And recall this person. Who is it? Dicey, for whom fundamental rights chapter is done at least. Rule of law, Professor A.B. Dicey is that same person, his theory on administrative law. Same person only. Whatever. Let's not make it theoretical, I'm just telling overall topics. Then this is section B of PubEd paper 1. Comparative development administration, like that. Remember again in polity also I keep telling that famous statement, if you have heard, that in India there exists a famous statement that what? Show me the man, I will tell you the law. That means, how does rules apply in India? It's the same rules only, the same act only, but how will they apply it? It depends on who? It depends on who are you. Sure, that's why, right, for example, if you're stuck in, let's say, traffic signal, you violated, police caught hold of you, obviously what you will tell? Sir, my father is so-and-so, my brother is so-and-so, my relative is so-and-so, my uncle is so, what is that? Show me the man, I will tell you the law. Because you know that if you are from powerful family or very close, obviously what police will do then? They may treat you a bit differently. That's what technically there's a person called as, what is the name here? Riggs, Fred Riggs. Fred Riggs talks about all these things. How developing countries work. Why corruption exists in developing countries. Not just here, it exists everywhere. In developing countries, what are the reasons for corruption? Why different laws are applied differently? Why something like reservations continues here? Like so many aspects are there. All of that we'll study under a thinker called as Fred Riggs. Fred Riggs study on developing countries. That means, in other words, CPA, Comparative Public Administration, Development Administration, is largely about developing countries like India. How bureaucracy works in countries like us. That is largely your this aspect. Then personnel administration. Personnel administration means what? Right from your recruitment, to appointment, to training, to service conditions, salaries, disciplinary, everything is your personnel administration. Means what? Let's say, for example, remember, we keep telling, if you have heard a word called as lateral entry. Have you heard lateral entry means what? Lateral entry means rather than IAS officers holding all the higher top level positions, you can bring whom? Lateral. Private sector experts directly. Why can't you give them better positions in public administration? That is what you call as lateral entry. I'm taking topics which you can understand, because theory, if I try to make it, it will become a little difficult for you. So that also we'll study. That is a topic under your personnel administration. Why lateral entry is required? Because if you heard major criticism of IAS officers is what? That you would have cleared. Let's say, for example, you clear exam. So many people like Aryan cleared now. He is from general merit. He may not get IAS. He might get either IPS or he might get foreign service. Whatever. That's a different choice. But the point is what? Let's say you get into IAS. You may get into IAS this year, next year, maybe 28, 29. But you will become joint secretary when? After 15 years. 15 to 20 years you will become joint secretary. That means, what is the major criticism of IAS, at the secretary level positions? That they don't have knowledge. Because, sir, how can IAS officer not have knowledge? Because you will not study continuously. When you will study? In Chandra Layout you will study, in Old Rajendra Nagar you will study. Once you get in, why will you study then? Because you will be busy in which one? Day-to-day administration itself you will be busy. How will you go study about things? But there might be so many new developments in technology. Where will you get time to? Where will you get time is one. Second, even if you get time, why will you update? Because obviously what is fixed? Position is fixed throughout the career. Why will you update? But at the joint secretary level position, additional secretary level position, knowledge matters a lot to make policies. That's why one of the major criticism of IAS is what? He is a generalist officer. Generalist means what? Look at the word generalist. If you have heard famous description of IAS officer is what? That is jack of all trades. Jack of all, master of none. Jack of all means what? See, whatever syllabus you study, everything, you know about history also. You know about polity also. You know about geography, you know about economy, everything you know. But you know about economy like a normal understanding you have. But what are you not? You don't have a technical hold on it. Because you are not, what are you not doing? You are not doing a PhD on economics. What are you only doing? Basics, what is monetary policy, what is fiscal policy, what are basics you study. You don't study like Amar the same. Then is what you lack? You lack technical hold on the subject. Let's say you become finance secretary then. Now what is the question mark then? You are in charge of preparing budget of the size of 50 lakh crore. You don't even have basic economics degree. You studied monetary policy, fiscal policy in your Chandra layout and Old Rajendra Nagar. How will you prepare budget of 50 lakh crore for government of India? Are you getting the criticism? That means criticism is what? That IAS, senior IAS officers, what they lack? They lack technical hold on the subjects is the criticism. One major point. That's the reason what a lot of people are asking now. What are they asking? Why should we depend on them? Why can't what we do? Why can't we directly bring experts from outside? That is lateral entry. But what is the challenge with them? The challenge with them is they don't know how government works. Because they worked where? They worked in private sector, where what doesn't matter? Minister will not be above you. You don't have to take minister permission. Media will not be watching you regularly. Assured, our courts will not question you regularly. In Babad, what will happen in civil services? For anything, you have to take seniors' permission. Any major change, you have to go ask them, sir, please, can I go ahead with it? Sir, this rules will be very strict. You have to work within rules. But in private sector, what is it? Rules, everything is relatively flexible. Media scrutiny is less. You work in completely different way. And most important point, in private sector, your major focus is on what? Obviously what? Common sense. Profit. But in public administration, government, why is profit the major motive? In Prabhat keyword always, what is the major focus is on? Service. Service delivery is the major. Whatever, education, health, sanitation, drinking water, whatever you call it. Service is the motive. Private administration, profit is the motive. Then that means what you are doing then? Someone who has worked well in private administration means who has focused more on profit. How are you assuming that he will work better in service sector? Means it's like assuming someone who plays test cricket will also play well in T20. Or someone who plays well in T20, how will you assume he also plays in test cricket? Some might adapt in both. But what some? Some doesn't. Surya Kumar Yadav, if you know, you make him play test. Abhishek Sharma, you make him play test. They can't even play because the reason is what? They are suited somewhere else. Kohli kind of players are different because now very few people adjust where? In every format, very few people adjust. Few people are suited to one. Few people are suited to others. Rarely you suit where? Everything you suit rarely. Lakshman kind of people, if you make him play T20, why will he play T20? If you know VVS Lakshman kind of people, they can't play because they're tuned differently. Are you getting an idea? That's what, this is just an analogy. I think we got the point. All of that we'll discuss under your personnel administration. Generalist versus specialist, so many things are there. Then public policy, you might be having so many types of public policy making are there. So many models are there, institutional model, Marxist model, what you call incremental model, like that, so many. In simple terms, if you have seen, for example, even in poverty also I keep telling, but just to understand. See, today you have a program called as what? Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Fine. If you recall, actually, it was originally started as Total Sanitation Campaign. Then they renamed it as what? Under Manmohan Singh era, Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan. Narendra Modi became PM, he made as what? Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So what have they not changed here? Core policy, core program, nothing has changed. Earlier the focus was on what? Earlier 1970s, 80s, the intention was what? Let's first take toilets, build toilets in every building. Because if there is no toilet itself, what they'll not even do then? How will they use the toilet then? So that's why the focus of Total Sanitation Campaign was largely on what? Let's build toilets in each house first. So because first you need to have that. Then they realized that okay, even if toilets are there, water supply is only not there. If water supply is not there, how will they use toilets? Very simple things, but matters a lot. Then they realized, okay, even if water supply is there, even if toilet is there, what people have? In villages, people have a habit of what? Open defecation. Then they realized, okay, behavioral change is important. The stage by stage, focus of program will keep changing. That means what is it then? It's only an incremental change. Incremental, look at the word increment means what? Small changes you are making. You are not making drastic change. Because what is it? Because in PubAd there is a very famous principle. In civil services, in government, means what is the famous statement? Don't change what is working well. If something is working, what you should not do? Don't try to change it. Because the reason is what? In administration, always the preference is for status quo. Status quo means what? Even in people, you have politics also keep doing. Status quo means what? Whatever is there, try to continue the same with small changes. If you try to bring radical means what? Extreme changes, you're taking a risk. If it works, it's okay. What if it fails? If it fails, means if you come up with a new idea and if it fails, later you can't come up with new idea itself. People will not. For example, demonetization. So Narendra Modi took a demonetization decision in 2016. Absolutely failure. Okay, Dhurandhar 2 says it is successful because he has to say that. So it was an absolute failure. Now what you can't do then? As long as he is in power, he can't even touch, not only him, even another PMs also who come later, for next 20-30 years, nobody can even tell the word demonetization because it's a huge failure. Now, that means that's the point. If you take a decision which is completely radical means what? Completely out of box idea. If it works, you will be appreciated. What if it doesn't work? You cannot take such a new decision later because people will not encourage you because you have failed in that kind of idea. So that is what you call it as. That's why normally administration prefers status quo with incrementalism. Incrementalism means what? Small changes. That's one of the famous policy called as incremental policy, public policy model. All that we'll discuss under your public policy models. Like that, still so many are there. Whatever, we'll do. Have you heard that very famous game theory? Game theory is there. Okay, fine. Let's not all of that will take a lot of time. Game theory means, in simple terms, let's say for example, what the game theory says is that if there are too many people involved in decision making, then one person's priority will not dominate. Then you have to take decision in such a way that it will address more or less everybody's need. Assured. Sir, what does that mean practically? Practically it means what? Just to understand for you in just a little humorous way so that you get an idea. Let's say for example, what do you call this? Husband and wife, couple are there. Husband wants, let's say for example, Hindi, he wants to watch Hindi movie. Husband and wife wants to watch English movie. Assured. But you don't have, either of the movie is not good now. Or let's say for example, if let's say both are okay with which one? Regional language movie, both are okay. Kannada movie, both are okay. Both are, but preference is English and for her wife, preference is Hindi for husband. Let's say husband says, no, we'll watch only Hindi movie now. Let's say if you watch only Hindi movie, what will happen now? Wife will not be happy. And you know, obviously, wife is not happy means what? World War III, World War IV, you're gone. Obviously, it's done. Let's say, for example, you only watch English movie then. Husband will not be happy. That means again, disturbance. That's why the best choice is what now? Mid path. Better you choose what? Better you choose some regional language because both might be, happiness might be 50%, 60%, but it will be better. Technically, this is called as games theory. Games theory means if there are multiple people involved in a particular decision making, each person should consider not only their self-interest, each person should also consider what is others' interest also. Because if you only think about your interest, then you are only going to create more problem in the future. This normally they apply it in international relations. They apply it in anywhere, center-state relations, how to solve, they can use this. And so Indus Water Treaty, everything is based on games theory itself. What? That's a more detailed one. That's also one of the model of public policy. All that we'll study here. And then these are not very important one. Financial administration means what? Look at your, recall your, if economy is done. Look at the words. Monetary policy, fiscal policy, borrowings, budgets, financial accountability, remember FRBM Act, debt to GDP ratio, all of that we'll study it here. Of course, we'll not study it like your economy. We'll not study, but remember if economy is done, repo rate, reverse repo, what do you call this, base rate, that things we'll not study here. We'll study from which one? Larger administration perspective. What is the budget? What are the different types of budget? If you have heard line item budgeting, performance budgeting, what do you call zero budgeting, sunset budgeting, like the different types of budgeting are there, linkages between monetary policy and fiscal policy. We'll study it from government perspective. We'll not study it from RBI perspective like repo, reverse repo. We'll not study those things. FRBM Act. Recall, what is FRBM? Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act. That things we'll study. Whatever, forget about it, all of that. And e-governance, everything is in your techniques of administration. This is largely theory part. especially in this paper 1, which are most important chapters? Introduction, administrative thought, administrative behavior, and which one? Comparative public administration, development administration, to an extent public policy. These 6 chapters are the foundation of entire PUBAT, especially 1, 2, 3. Within that, 1 and 2, these 2 are that's why normally first 2 to 3 chapters itself will take 40 to 50 class. Minimum 30, 40 class you can take. We'll go for this itself. Rest all will be easy because you look at your paper 2, I don't even have to tell. We'll come back to other ones. Look at this. Paper 2. Union government and administration, which is what? Look at the words. Executive. Executive means what? Your president, prime minister, council of ministers, cabinet committees, parliament. If parliament chapter is done, you'll have an idea, or else basic idea you'll be doing. Judiciary, your Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate courts, All India Judicial Services. Then intergovernmental relations, center-state relations, recall center-state relations chapter, interstate relations chapter, federalism, that is intergovernmental. Cabinet secretary, that we don't study. Cabinet secretariat, PMO, central secretariat, we don't study in your polity, but rest all you study in polity itself. Even this one, look at the words itself, I don't have to tell. Role of finance commission, center-state, legislative, administrative, financial relations, role of governor, role of CM, council of ministers. Again, in polity, normally chief secretary, we don't study in detail. That we don't study. So, in other words, entire whatever you study in PUBAT, polity, with respect to that, we'll repeat, except which one? Cabinet secretary, chief secretary, PMO. We don't study in detail in polity. We may have a reference sometimes, but it's not there in your syllabus in GS2. In PUBAT, we have to add that. And so, this is largely these 2 chapters is largely your entire polity. And so there where they can also ask, in those things they can also ask your election commission. They can ask about your attorney general also. They'll ask about CAG also. CAG they can ask under financial administration also. They can ask about fundamental rights also. Relatively less fundamental rights DPSC, but they can. Preamble they ask, for example, look at this. Here they ask your preamble. Here. Where which chapter? Philosophical constitutional framework of government, they'll ask about your preamble. Plus they'll ask about, look at the word, if you recall your polity, first day itself I'll do this topic. Look at the topic. Look at the second keyword. Constitutionalism. If you recall your polity, first day itself I'll do constitutionalism or constitutional state or constitutional government. And what is the keyword for constitutionalism? What is the keyword? What do you mean by constitutionalism? Limited power. That is your constitutionalism. Go back and open your polity first day's notes. You'll find that word, constitutionalism. But there we'll only tell that, here a little more detailed. Core thing is that only, a little more detailed, constitutionalism. Then PSUs, your entire PSU. Whatever, if you have heard 3 types of PSU are there, departmental undertaking, public corporations, government companies, all of that. If you have heard public PSUs were famously called as what? Temples of Modern India by Jawaharlal Nehru. All of that is your PSU. First one is what? Kautilya. Kautilya, Mughal, British. Kautilya you might have heard, right? If you have heard, Kautilya is famous. Again, polity, we don't study this. But about Kautilya, Arthashastra, Mandala theory with respect to his foreign policy, Saptanga theory, and about Kautilya's theory on corruption. If you have heard famously, what does it tell about corruption? Kautilya famously tell about corruption that civil servants are like fish in water. You will never get to know how much water does a fish drink. That means you tell. You will never get to know to what extent a civil servant will get involved in corruption. That's why he says, king has to be very, very cautious about the corrupt activities of his bureaucrats. Because bureaucrat is like a fish in the water. In fact, he also goes on to say, like corruption is like what? Corruption is like putting what? Honey, sweet, nectar on the tip of the tongue and asking the person not to taste it. How do you put honey on the tip of the tongue and how do you ask him not to taste it? Even if you don't want to taste it, what will automatically taste it? Your tongue, your taste buds itself will automatically taste it. That means he says corruption is like that. Even if you don't want to get involved in it, what will happen? You will be forced to get, or sometimes automatically it will happen. That's why if you go ask civil servants, anybody who is in service, what they tell? Even I don't want to be corrupt. System is like that. What should I do? Most of the people, after they get in few years, that's what they famously tell. Because that's what Kautilya had told when? Kautilya had told about this in his Arthashastra in 2300 BC. So to like BC, before Christ era itself, we are told the corruption is like that. We are in when? We are in 2026 AD. So more or less same principle will remain. That is Kautilya. In Kautilya, we'll discuss a few other things in detail. And then if you have heard, remember in Mughal, even in ancient medieval, you study Mansabdari system. If ancient medieval India has done, that is your famous, that is what is a famous topic even here, Mughal administration. Akbar's Mansabdari system. Sure, whatever, that we'll discuss that later. Then your plans and priority. Plans and priority means what? Planning commission to Niti Aayog. What has happened? That's your plans and priority. 5-year plans. Look at it. Planning commission, NDC. They have not mentioned the term Niti Aayog because the syllabus was made in 2013. And in 2013, what is still not there? Niti Aayog was still not there. Niti Aayog came up in 2015. That's why syllabus, they have not still changed. But they ask about your Niti Aayog in your plans and priorities. Right? Then administrative reforms, which is first ARC, second ARC, in little more in detail. Your district administration is nothing but your entire DC. How the concept of DC evolved, right from Lord Warren Hastings to how it evolved during Lord Curzon's era to Lord Wellesley era to Lord Dalhousie era. We will not discuss about that Dalhousie and everything. But how the office of collector has evolved over a period of time. How was it during British era? Within that, how was it during company era? How was it during crown era? Remember, post 1857, pre 1857. Then pre 1947, post 1947. Then pre 1991, post 1991. How the office of collector has evolved. If you have heard famously for district administration, what is the famous criticism of collector? Even during British era, it was that the DC is like a tortoise on whose back the size of the elephant size of administration is carried on. Means what? Even during British era, famous statement of collector is that he is like a tortoise. But he is carrying, what kind of weight he is carrying? He is carrying the weight of an elephant. Means entire district administration burden is on whom? DC. That is your collector. That's why the word. That's your district administration. We'll study all of that in detail. So that's even Ramsay MacDonald, former British PM, used to famously tell that DC is such an important position that what? Not a sparrow ought to fall without it coming to the notice of the DC. Means he used to tell, he is such an officer at the district level that even a sparrow should not die. Should not die means without coming it to, even if a sparrow dies, it should go to whose notice? DC's notice. This is the kind of office which was there during British era. Now it's not to that extent because now there are so many officers and the DC's role has relatively diluted, but the aura still continues. And even Churchill used to say, Winston Churchill, again former British PM, used to tell that once British quits India, so British will be remembered not for X or Y office. British will be remembered for their office of district collector. So as long as district collector office stays, that means what stays? British administration legacy will always stay. Because they created the office. First of all, why did they create that office? All that here is your district administration chapter. Same way, because it overlaps, is your which one? SP. Look at the word. Entire law and order administration. If I word famously, you have two famous, just to understand again, brief. Royal Irish Constabulary System and London Metropolitan System. What does that mean? Royal Irish Constabulary System is based on the principle called as police is a force. London Metropolitan System is based on the principle of police is a service. British implemented Royal Irish System in India. That means in India, police is considered as what? Force. That's why if you have seen, in general, even today, common perception of middle class or in general Indian common man's perception of police is what? If the police is there, what you will try to do? What you will try to do? You will try to avoid him as much as possible. The reason is what? Because police image itself is that it's a force. They have to be tough. But in London Metropolitan System, statement itself is that police is a service. Police should be as friendly as possible to the people. But in India, British did not implement that. That's why in India, police is a force. That's entire your law and order administration. And then so many. For example, if you have seen, just to get an idea, in India, policing, what we follow is, again, this is what British implemented. Police structure itself is what? Very, very pyramidal in nature. Pyramidal means what? Just as an idea, I'm telling you. Constable, head constable, ASI. To an extent, SI also, let's say ASI. Assured. This is your approximately 90% is this. 88 to 90% is who? constable, head constable, assistant sub-inspector. Maybe you can put inspector also. Okay, inspector we can put above. Then SI, circle inspectors, inspector, whatever you call them as. This is your approximately 9%. Then DYSP plus means above. DYSP, SP, VIG, IG, all of them is how much then? 1%. So this is what? What kind of period? Obviously, what is the structure? Pyramidal structure of Indian police. Sir, why is it like that? Because British created this structure. Why did they create this structure? For simple reason. These people will take all the decisions. Assured. And these people, what the British made sure that they are all what? Obviously, what they'll be? They'll be British. Now, these people mostly will implement everything. Now, these are all what? Logically, you think, who will be there? Indians. These people, once they get their service, experience everything, they only will get promoted to become what? SIs or inspectors. They'll also be Indians. But they'll, after based on promotion or 1 or 2, whatever it is, they'll go there. So, real policing who will do? These people will do. They will take care of the real policing. But they can only implement. Who will take the decisions? That is being British era. Today, you replace it by whom? They will take the decisions, IPS plus DYSP, like state level, they will take the decisions. You people only have to implement it. Now this structure, everybody have told, we'll discuss all of them. Dharamvira Commission, like that, so many commissions are there. What do you call this? Soli Sorabji Commission, and then Padmanabhaya Committee, all of them have told, this is not possible. Because obviously what will happen, if you create this kind of structure, imagine the power imbalance here. All the power is with whom? Obviously with whom? IPS. Imagine their level. What will be the relationship between a constable and IPS then? Obviously, how will a constable talk to an IPS then? They'll not even look eye to eye. They'll not even, sir, if IPS tells something, do you think constable can tell? Sir, I think I have a better idea. Can you even tell that? Forget about constable telling it. Inspector also can't tell it. Whatever they tell, you should just listen. Because system works on what? System works on pure hierarchy. Why? Because you have structured it like that. This is technically whatever you have written here is called as structure of an organization. Structure means what? How many levels are there? Which level? How many people are there? What is the power distribution there? That's what in PubEd, theoretically in paper when we study it as structure of an organization. Classical thinkers. Structure matters a lot. Whatever. Those are all technical things. We'll discuss that in your paper 1 and then we'll link it to paper 2. Right? That is your law and order administration. Then this is nothing but is your which one? You tell rural development, urban local government means panchayats, municipalities. That's why look at it. Because if polity is done, at least you'll have an idea. If it is not yet done, at least you would have heard. Your 73rd amendment is what? Panchayats. Look at this. Of course, panchayats is just copy paste. Whatever you study there, you study here. That's it. Urban local government, 1 or 2 extra topics like new localism, not linked to paper. I mean, polity you don't have to link. Development dynamics, okay, even that you don't have to link. Other things, copy paste. Whatever you study in polity, whatever you study in PubEd, both are same. A little extra here, especially urban local government. This is what, that's why we keep telling the overlap one. This one is your entire why corruption again. Look at this topic. If polity is done again, if National Human Rights Commission will study in your bodies, that's the same thing. Plus look at this is your, which one? GS3, disaster management as we told, that topics will repeat. Then regulatory bodies. Regulatory bodies means you will have an idea, right? Regulatory bodies means which one? Yeah, exactly, your RBIs, SEBIs, everything, that regulatory bodies. And then values, this is your ethics. Mostly we study about corruption, but linked to that. Look at this. All of that is here, and even this we study there itself in polity also. What are the problems in which one? Coalition government. Because remember, whenever there is coalition government, what is problem? Instability, political instability. Regional parties will become very powerful. In polity, if you call it as, remember we keep telling reverse bargaining federalism. Means who might be forced to listen to whom sometimes? Center will be forced to listen to. states, all of that is your same topic. Ashok, problems in coalition government. Yeah, that's also another one. Okay, just to keep it in mind. Okay, then this is your entire again. See, this chapter, civil services and which one? Personnel administration, both will do together. Same way, look at this chapter. Financial administration, look at this. Both will do together because both are overlapping. There, what we told you, if you recall there, monetary policy, fiscal policy, like that you studied. Look at this here again. This from Indian administration angle, budget. So what is the role of finance ministry, parliamentary control of public expenditure, CAG. Recall this, CGA, CAG. I think you might have heard about it. For Government of India, CGA maintains. Word itself says, accounts, CAG is in charge of auditing. That details we'll study it here. Whatever. All those ones. Then obviously you'll be knowing how the classes will be structured. Just to give an idea, normally last time we had an evening batch. So now this time obviously you might be knowing, obviously optionals are, when we put the optionals. Morning class will have optionals. You can take it as 7:30 to 10 or let's say 8 to 10, whatever, depends on the timings, 2 to 2.5 hours. We'll start with your paper 1 itself, especially we'll start with your paper 1, chapter 2. Because that itself will take 35 to 40 classes minimum, obviously. And normally what we'll do is, like how I do it in polity also, like whenever I do a topic, whatever important topics, if you want, you note it down. I think most of you might have attended polity classes, one or other, I can recall most of the phases. Even if you have not attended, it's fine. Obviously what I'll do, after every topic, what you'll get? I'll only dictate the notes, you can note it down. That's your one of the biggest advantages. What? You don't have to go read again and make notes. Additional points, like how in polity, what you do? After your class note, what you can do? Read NCRT, read Lakshmikant. If you get extra points there or any current affairs, what you have to do then? Add it to class note. Same principle. You do things here, any extra points you get in your reference book or anywhere, that you don't have to read it now itself. I'll tell you what are the reference book, everything, those are all not important. You can take up, you can write it down later. Whatever is done in class note, if you revise that itself, 70-80% of the notes is done. That you have to make short notes from it. That is after your 2 to 3 rounds of revision. After you finish the classes, you should make short notes. Short notes you should not make when classes are going on. You should just make notes, revise it, write PYQs. Fine. Obviously, I'll also try to give tests, especially for the important chapters and everything. Whatever. Sir, what about the, what do you call this, reference books or anything? See, there are so many reference books. Earlier there used to be so many, if you, in case you have heard in market, Fadia and Fadia, like that, so many used to be there. As of now, only 2 books. Reference books I'm telling. 2 in the sense, there's a person called as Radha Binod Aribam, who is also like, you guys are the student only. I mean, older, whatever, some other ones. So he has got into the service and he has written that book, Radha Binod Aribam. For both paper 1 and paper 2, you just buy a book written by Radha Binod Aribam. Does it mean it is enough? Of course, it's not enough. For paper 1, more or less it will work. For paper 2, you have to take another book, especially, which one? Arora and Goyal for paper 2, Indian administration. Of course, you have to buy Mohit Bhattacharya also, but you don't have to, you should not study it in the beginning, that you should study it later. Prasad and Prasad, now it's not necessary. If you want to, you can take it, but more or less whatever is there in Prasad and Prasad, we'll discuss it in your, it's there in your Aribam itself, because Aribam is a synopsis of all these things. No need to worry. So once classes start, you can take it later also. Even now, you don't have to buy any textbook. We'll take it. I'll only tell you once the classes will start. If in case you want to read anything now related to PubAd, like let's say kind of a basics, because before polity classes, normally if in case you want to start a little early, we will tell you that what? Go read NCRTs. Remember Indian Constitution work like that. If you want to get to know, sir, I want a little basics of PubAd now. Then what do you do? IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National Open University, BA Public Administration, PDFs you will get online. So you can just download it. They will go to their own website, eGyan course, so many websites are there. BA Public Administration, IGNOU syllabus, first introduction chapter or thinkers chapter, because that is what we will start with. You start reading that first. That's more than enough. Is that clear? In the beginning now. Of course, once classes start, I'll take care of it. I'll only tell you which subjects, where, which chapters, where to study and everything. All these things, no need to worry about much about it. Okay, just to mention it, normally what you have to do, see, after more than 10 revisions or at least 10 revisions of notes before you make short notes or anything, all that you'll get to know gradually. PYQs matter a lot. Remember always in mains, two things important. Which one? Syllabus, PYQ. You should not do anything in mains without syllabus and PYQ. Prelims, it's a bit different because there's no clearly defined syllabus. It's a little more open-ended. Mains is very, very precise, closed. Syllabus, PYQ, only that matters. Other things don't matter much. Fine? Yeah, and of course you have to keep referring to the toppers copies, everything, PYQs matter a lot. All those things, don't worry. We'll only take care of it. Notes will be there. I'll only give it. Okay, common mistakes we have mentioned. Normally, if you don't have a single notes, because sometimes what may happen, some, faculties, what they'll do, they'll give you handouts. Or they'll teach it using PPTs, because everybody will have their own style of teaching. But the challenge is, what is the challenge there? You have to go, you have to revise that PPT again, you have to revise that handout, then what you have to do then? Because remember, without having a handwritten notes, it's impossible in UPSC. In UPSC, notes are literally everything. So that's an additional work. That doesn't mean that's the only but that's a kind of a challenge. It's like that. But here you'll directly get the notes. That's the biggest advantage that you'll have. Means you don't have to go again after classes, again make notes, or after your entire optional you don't have to make notes again. That challenge will not be there. Short notes you have to do. But that is when, as I told, at least minimum 4 or 5 revisions after your optional classes, not during your optional classes. Okay, rest all don't worry. How to write an answer? See, how to write an answer. Normally remember, any public administration, any optional for that matter, answer is what? If the question is asked in paper 1, what obviously paper 1, as I told, is largely about what? Administrative theory. Paper 2 is largely about what? Indian administration. So if a question is asked in paper 1, 2/3, 60 to 70%, you should talk more about what? Theory aspect. 1/3 is about what you have to link 1/3. 1/3 you have to link Indian administration. Let's say the question is asked in paper 2, 2/3, 70%, you should write from which angle? Practical Indian administration angle. 1/3, what you have to do? Link it to paper 1. Sir, sir, is it like 1/3 means you should not, in paper 1, you should not write like completely GS paper 2 answer. Paper 2, you should not write it like paper 1 answer. That link should be there. Assured. That is 2/3, 1/3 rule. Of course, in paper 1, that keywords matter a lot. And obviously this applies not only in your optional, even in GS also. See, look at the presentation skill. This is that, it's a old person that who has got 334 marks, Abhilash Mishra. Look at the presentation one. You will not find a single scratch anywhere. Correct? Look at it, more or less no single scratch. Wherever possible, kind of simple illustrations, keywords he is underlining. Very simple language. Look at it, language is not technical itself. Very simple language. Anybody who reads will understand. But the keywords you have to keep using, like recruitment, like whatever keywords you find. Look at some thinker, Glenn Starr, like that. That keywords you have to keep using, whatever. And so this rest all, even if I tell now, obviously you will not understand, that we'll do it later. And always understand, any PubAd, not only PubAd, in general PubAd, any optional answer, preference is what? You have to write it in short para format. In GS, normally what we keep telling, as far as possible, write it in point format, one line example. In PubAd, normally, any optional, but specifically PubAd, I'll tell, short para. Short para means what? As I look at it, 3, 4, maximum 5 lines. 3 to 4 lines para. In one point should be made in 3 to 4 lines. Whatever thinker you have to link, everything, you make it there. So short para format is always preferred. If in case you have more number of points, sometimes depending on the question it might change, 80-90% of the time, short para is preferred. You should not write like this in your GS, but in optional you have to write like this. Look at it, that's why wherever you look at it, more or less what he has done, 3 to 4 maximum 5 lines paras he has used. Now, so that is how it works. And always remember the statement, any question in PubAd is not a topic wise question, not a thinker wise question, not a chapter wise question. What is it? PubAd question. Means what you have to bring? 360-degree view. That's the biggest challenge. That will take time, obviously, over a period. Not only now, even if you look at prelims questions now, what they do? Now in prelims question itself, what they are doing is when they ask 4 statements, one statement is from economy, another statement is from polity, another statement is from modern India. So they are trying to link that also in prelims also now, because the UPSC's expectation is what? You should think from 360-degree view. You should not be like monetary policy question you ask, I'll write monetary. That era is gone. You should have a interlinkages within subjects even in prelims now. In prelims they are expecting, means in mains obviously they will expect. Yeah, whatever. Fine. Sir, how many classes will go on if you have the doubt? On an average, any PubAd, any optional, they have to take minimum 100 class. So PubAd also, I'll take at least 100 class, 100 to 110, 115, it varies, but minimum 100. On an average, each class, again, like how we do it in polity also, normally 2 to 2.5 hours class, means at least around 250 to 300 hours of class will be there. Hours if you take, let's say 100 classes you take, 2.5 hours class you take. Plus whatever 10, 20, depends on how it goes. So that means on an average, how many months it will take? Around 4 to 5 months it will take. Because obviously 100 classes, 120 classes if I have to take means 110, 15, whatever number, around 4 to 5 months it will go on. So then what do you call this? Mentorships, I don't even have to tell that. Whatever answers you write, PYQs you write, obviously test series, I will not conduct a specific test series as of now. I may do it this mains because there are a lot of students that keep asking. That you leave, forget about it because that will be a concern for you in the later stages once you finish your optionals. Initial stages, whatever. So after every chapter, I try to give a test, especially which one? Important chapters, at least after every chapter, I'll try to give a test. I'll only conduct a discussion so that you get to know how to write answers because in the initial stages, writing an answer will be difficult. And again, I'm cautioning it. So directly in the first class, second class itself, you will not get a bigger hold on the subject. What do you need? At least some 5 to 10 classes you have to sit through so that to get an idea, okay, what is happening in PubAd? What is this subject? Because for a lot of you, obviously what it will be? It will be a new subject. See, teaching polity is a bit different because polity, what will happen? More or less from your childhood, one or other, what you would have done? You would have read about it. PM, CMs, Parliament, you would have read about it. You will have a basic orientation. Sometimes even for students, polity itself will take 3 to 4 classes to adjust. But PubAd, it will take at least 5 to 10 classes. Any new optional for that matter. So don't try to take a decision from attending one demo class itself. If you are still in deciding, I should still decide, sir, demo class at least attend 5. So at least 4 to 5. So that you will get an idea, okay, what is this about? Then you try to take a call. Fine? Then if in case you have a doubt, sir, what about when will be starting? So because now I think batch 4, batch 5 students will also come and normally I'll take only one batch in a year. Because some people do 2 batches also, but because I'll be handling the entire optional, both paper 1 and paper 2, completely I'll only be handling. Because if you see normally in optionals what they do, even earlier me and Shailesh sir both used to handle, but now Shailesh sir, I don't know, maybe you guys will not be knowing about him. So he used to also handle first 50%, I used to handle 50%, but now he's not teaching now. So that's why I will only handle the entire 100%. I will only handle. So that means entire notes, everything I will only give. So that's why I don't normally prefer taking 2 batches in a year. I'll take 1 batch in a year. So normally what I'll do, May mid or May end I'll start. So by October end or October maximum by November I'll try to finish it. So that what I'll do, so that at least 4 or 5 batches students should come in. Or else what they'll feel, see let's say you start in be a batch 5 or batch 6. What those people will feel, now I can't take an optional. They'll have that challenge. That's why mid of the year I'll start. So by October, November I'll try to finish. Fine. So you will not in April you will not have this classes will not be started. I'll tell the date. Maybe by May mid you can say, or maybe May 10th, 15th. I've still not decided the exact date. Based on that, you will get to know when classes will start. From there you count May, June, July, August, maximum September actually. I'm telling you, even if in case I start by May end, it will be when? October. Assured. So exact date I'll announce depending on how many batches will be going on and everything. Course fee more or less whatever optional is there, more or less same thing will apply even here. Rest all mentorship, I don't have to address all of them. If you guys had any doubts, just ask about it. What other doubts you had about because this entire class is about to give you an orientation about this optional. I've tried to cover it from a fresher's perspective, whatever doubts you guys will normally have. Because normal doubts are, sir, in market they keep telling that PubAd score will not be there. That's a normal thing what they keep telling. So obviously it's not like that. I've already clarified it. Yes, again I am only openly telling, in the last 3-4 years, sociology, PSR is in golden era. You go and ask someone who knows how sociology used to perform before 2020. Nobody even used to take sociology. Sure, because that was not a trend before 2020. You go and ask before, those who are in service before 2015. Sure, nobody even knew that there exists an optional called as PSIR. Nobody even knew. Nobody used to take it. Because till almost 2014-15, it was PubAd, Geography, Kannada, only these three. Then Geography is, now nobody takes Geography. Geography is out of the picture now. Nobody takes it. PSIR, Sociology is in relatively better stage. Anthropology, PubAd, more or less say, maybe Anthro one level, means I am talking about not the scores that you get. It's about what? How many students take. Scores, any optional. You go and cross-verify all the optional. Don't take decision just like that. Just because someone says PSIR is performing, I'll take PSIR, Sociology is performing, take Sociology. Sit through the optional. At least 4-5 classes you sit. See if you have a orientation towards the subjects. See if you can understand the subject. Then you take any optional you want. Because it's common student mentality. Even I understand. Because obviously everybody wants to be safe. Because now they keep telling Sociology, PSIR. Link will be there towards it. That's why I am only openly telling, please go sit through demo classes and then try to take a call. If your mind is still in I should still decide, sir, because normally students will be at, sir, PSIR, PubAd, eradi sir, mindali. Sociology, Anthro, eradi sir, mindali. Then please sit through the demo. Any optional you take, this is for granted. Of course, respective optional faculty will tell that my optional is good, my optional is good. I am trying to making it open. Any optional you take, you are a serious candidate, you have hold on the subject, you have completed the paper, you have addressed the core demand, presentation is decent, language is decent, 260 is guaranteed. Sir, I should score 290. Yes, you have to score 290 to be in top 100. Then it depends on your hold. How can you link both paper 1 and paper 2? How is your presentation? Is it much better? 280s, 290s. Decent, everything is decent, just address the core demand, 260. Any optional, any year. I'll not talk about that to Geography, I'll not tell. Kannada, I can't promise. PSIR, PubAd, Sociology, any time you take, Anthropology also, if you do these things, 260 is guaranteed. 300, I'll not promise. If anybody is telling you take PSIR 300, take Sociology 300, you are already done. No, it's not possible. I am openly telling you, that is how it works. Golden era, PSIR, Sociology, correct. Next, by the time you write, PubAd may come back. Or it might be same level. Anything can happen. That's why don't just go on what market is telling, That's a factor, yes. Plus take other aspects also. Assured. That is with respect to that. Then syllabus, I have already told you, concise. So dynamic, any three. Sociology, PSIR, PubAd. All three are dynamic. Current affairs will overlap. So should I study separate current affairs for PubAd? No separate current affairs. What is it? The same thing that you study in polity. Normally, mostly polity, to an extent economy also. Same thing you have to link in PubAd. So how will I link? Of course, when I keep doing, I will only keep, like for example, yesterday, day before, now what issue is going on? Delimitation, women issue, reservation issue is going on. That works in polity, that works in paper 2, PubAd also. Sure. That works in a theory in paper 1 also, that we'll discuss it later. Empowerment approach of women, feminist theory. Like that, everything will get no separate current affairs, no separate newspaper, it's the same thing. Clear? Yeah, any other doubts you guys had? How many hours of class I have clarified it? Notes wise I have clarified it. Okay. Textbooks, don't worry. If you want the basics now, what do you do? IGNOU, BA, Public Administration, Introduction chapter or Thinkers chapter. First study Introduction chapter. Yeah, if you have doubts, please ask now. Not all. AR second ARC report 2 to 3. Personal administration, local bodies. You don't have to go and study everything. I'll only integrate it in the classes itself. And you don't have to study the report. You just have to study a summary of recommendations. Like if in case you have gone to second ARC reports, each report will have some whatever, depends, 100 to 150 recommendations like that. Only recommendation you have to study. Within that, some 20, 25 you have to pick. Personal administration, some 20 recommendations you should choose. That's it. You don't have to read the entire report for it. Not necessary. So point means, in second ARC, should I read all the reports? No. Only few reports. So should I study the entire report? Not necessary. What do you only study? Summary of recommendation. So should I study entire recommendation? Not necessary. Out of 100 recommendation, maximum some 15, 20. Important ones. How will I get to know that? Of course, for that first basic should happen. After personal administration chapter is done, then what you study? Personal administration chapter recommendations. After local bodies is done, local body recommendation. After union government, state government is done, that chapter recommendation. Assured. So not entire reports. Yeah. Any other doubts you guys had? Kelly. Yeah, and then another one. Normally the normal one. Sir, anyhow Telegram videos are there. Can I download it and watch it? It's the same one. I'm not saying no. But normally for optional, the biggest thing that you have to keep it in mind is one, because I mean, especially if it is not your graduation subject, it's better you always attend offline classes and read it. Even recorded class also I'll not prefer. Better you attend offline class and study it, especially if it is your optional where you don't have a touch in your graduation. Because it's not so easy, because it's not just about the content. It's about the orientation. You have to come here or you have to do it. Normal content anyhow is available everywhere. But what you can't get, that self-discipline, consistency is not so easy. Because we have seen so many times, what students will do, once what they would have done, they would have watched the Telegram videos. Then they will realize, so it's getting difficult. Then they'll come back. But by that time, what will happen? Time issue. See, for example, you see someone in your group or whatever in your OGP groups, let's say they may watch the videos on Telegram, 10 videos they'll watch, 20 videos they'll watch. Then either they'll not get hold or they'll not do it consistently. Then what they'll realize, after 3-4 months they'll realize, no, better I'll join class. But if by September, October you decide means, that means what's already gone? 2027 is already out of picture. When will you complete optional classes? When will you revise them? At least before December, your optional classes notes should be done. Once or twice revision should be there. Then by January you can shift to which one then? Shift to January, shift to prelims by January. Read it, do prelims for 4-5 months. Clear prelims, then come back to your GS mains and optional. If you don't finish optionals by February, March next year, then when will you give 2027 then? 27 is already out of picture. That means you have to aim for when then? 2028. That's a kind of a challenge. So that's why, yeah, okay, that's a bigger aspect. Yeah, any other doubts you guys had? Maximum 15 thinkers. Out of that, 10 are important. Few thinkers are there which we discuss, but normally in exams they don't matter. They don't ask questions on it. 10 to 12 thinkers. Most important. Yeah. Then? Any others, please ask. Another idre. Repeat. 70-80% questions, same thinker, same topics every time. In mains itself, it's a rule. If you have gone through any mains, I'm telling, GS1 to GS4, essay you leave it. GS1 to GS4 to any optional. This is not only for optional. Any optional you take. 60 to 70% of questions will repeat in mains. Not same question, but from where? Same topic, same theme. Not same question, but more or less content will be around the same thing itself. Any optional, I am not telling only PUBAT, any optional, two-third of the questions repeat from the same topics and themes. Yeah. Then? Okay, now? Okay, fine. So we'll end the orientation then. We'll get to know the when will the course start. We'll only, of course, in your Telegram channels, everything, you'll get to know it. So, try to go again, if you want, for your clarity, as I told, IGNOU, BA, Public Administration, 1 or 2 chapters you study, try to go through PYQs once, then you will try to come to an understanding. Clear? Yeah. So can we expect same connect for online batch as for online with respect to feedback? Of course, yes, as I told. So a student who cleared this time, Delhi OGP student Aryan Kumar Singh, he was also from online batch. He was in regular contact with us. Obviously, no doubt about it. Don't worry.